Metta Sandiford-Artest is joining us. It is great to see you. You know, I always, if you ever forget how big NBA guys are, I'm 6'2", 200 almost, and you're all man right here. You could still play, it looks like.
I'm 290 right now. I'm still.
Pull that mic in.
Oh, yeah. So I'm 290. I feel very comfortable here, by the way.
You're 290?
Look
at it. J-Mac, look at him.
How do I look? How much do I look?
I would have guessed 220.
240, yeah.
Good job. Wow. That's how I want to look.
So we were talking about pressure on stars. One of your great moments, to me, is hitting the jumpers, Game 7, at home. You were a pressure player. Some guys shrink in pressure. I always felt like you kind of liked it.
For sure.
You liked big games. Not all guys do. You know this. Especially those young guys. You get to the playoffs, some of those young guys, they shrink a little bit. When you look at the Lakers, I feel the pressures. You can't put it on LeBron in year 20. I think it's on AD.
I think you're right. It's probably more because AD's younger. He's playing well, by the way. So this year, I mean, we got to keep it in perspective, though. The Lakers might not win, but they have a chance to win, right?
They don't have a consistent third scorer.
I mean, with D'Lo, they have it now. I mean, he didn't have a great game the last game, but prior games, the reason they're in the playoffs has to do with D'Lo, too. So I do believe you. I do agree with you. AD has more burden on his shoulders.
So I've always felt that veteran players, the playoffs are about the old guys.
Yeah.
You manipulate officials, you manipulate young players. And I think a lot of it is defense. In the regular season, Metta, it's about a 75, 80% offensive game, 20% defense. The playoffs, it's closer to 60, 40, 50, 50. So go back to your career. When you got in the playoffs, you kind of knew the refs would swallow the whistle. Did you change a little bit defensively in the playoffs?
Yeah, I was more aggressive. And the playoffs is about defense, right? So I knew this was my type of style. They let you get away with a little bit more. I mean, they still call fouls on the stars, but you can get a little bit more aggressive in the playoffs, and the whistle's going to be swallowed. You got to be ready for the playoffs, for sure.
So you would go into games knowing, and by the way, would the coach tell you, would a coach tell you, with the game plan? Like, I think Golden State's going to lean on Sacramento. Draymond's going to push, Gary Payton. I think they're going to get very physical with Sacramento.
Well, I feel like Mike Brown came a long way, right? So from that perspective, look what he's doing with the Kings right now. Like, these guys they have a legit chance to win a title. So I don't see that happen. I see it being a good series because Mike Brown learned from Coach Kerr. Coach Kerr learned from the Jackson and Popovich, obviously, and Mike Brown also learned from Popovich. And he's seasoned and he's ready for this moment. So I don't think it's going to be a pushover.
We think it's 6 games, Warriors.
Maybe, but definitely not a pushover.
Now, Wiggins has been out for several months.
I actually have the Kings winning the championship this year.
You do?
Kings or the Lakers.
Well, in the Western Conference.
I mean, the NBA championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think Sacramento can win it all?
Yeah, I think they have a shot.
Bunch of kids, and they don't play defense.
But they buying into Coach Brown's, habits and his culture and his style and his winning background also. So we'll see.
When you look at Wiggins has been out for a couple months. When you go back to your big Laker days, 17 years, NBA champ, could you take a guy and just insert him into the playoffs if he knew the system? Because he was so good last year in the finals. Right. Do you worry at all about Wiggins has been gone for 2 months, personal stuff, whatever happened, and now all of a sudden the playoffs are here. Hey, dude, come back in. Does that work?
That works. You got to be lenient as a coach. Coach Kerr, he's been through everything, right? So you got to understand as a coach, you're going to go through things. Yeah, let him play. And I feel like with Curry, with Klay Thompson, he's going to figure it out. They're going to put him in the right position, right? And then also the Warriors are not bringing on people with low IQ, right? So he's going to come back and fit in and make that team better.
Was Phil like that? Were your best coaches like that?
Oh, yeah. Phil, I could see Phil doing something like that. Somebody's coming back, putting them in, figuring it out. You got to be a risk taker a little bit.
When you, so I'm a huge fan of KD.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in his career, he gets banged up a little bit, but he's a great player. And I think one of the reasons he works is because he doesn't have a huge ego. He doesn't need to dribble the ball. You plug and play.
Yeah.
Does he remind you of anybody? Your thoughts on KD as a player, who he reminds you of, and sort of stylistically, what is he to you?
He's definitely a top, 15, 20 player, all-time type of guy when his career's over, right? He's that type of talent, a champion. So, but I feel like, yes, if he does win this title, it puts his legacy a little higher, right? And I remember playing against, he's one of the guys that I played against a couple times, but he had the skill and the talent. When I was older, he was just blowing right by me. So he's one of those players.
Was he a talker on the court?
Not much of a talker, but for sure a competitor. Not much of a talker, but for sure a competitor, and for sure he knew he was going to get to his spot.
Let's go to the East. So the Celtics, this has been the same group of guys for a long time, like 6-7 years now. It's the Tatums, it's the Browns. If they don't win, patience is important, but you do get to a point now, is Tatum now and Jaylen Brown, they're in their prime. This is the most you could get for them.
Right.
Let's say the Celtics don't get to the finals. They get knocked out. Would you run it back again? Or is it time? I mean, the Lakers historically, they don't run stuff back a lot. Lakers,
right.
They're like the Yankees. If they don't win a World Series or an NBA title, they blow. You're Boston. If they don't win, let's say they don't even get to the finals, would you blow up Brown, Tatum, Marcus Smart?
Well, I think you don't blow them up. I think you take the San Antonio approach with that team. Not now, other teams and other player combinations, maybe I wouldn't say that. But with this team, they're good. They're unselfish. They play the game the right way. They're winners. So they might not win every year, but I think eventually they'll get over the hump. You see what I'm saying? So, but yes, everybody's on the clock, especially the Celtics.
Yeah.
And the Lakers, because they're trying to get number 18, number 19, right? They're trying to stay ahead of the pack in terms of number of banners. So that's where the pressure, the extra added pressure in terms of if you would even think about doing something like that.
So you talk the San Antonio model, basically keep the guys intact, find somebody in the league. They tried Horford. He's older. He's a good player.
Right.
But go get somebody to join your team.
Yeah. You don't want to break up that team. A guy like Marcus Smart, who was a scorer and a defender. Jaylen Brown, who's just as good, a better scorer and a little step under as a defender. And you got Tatum, who's just a smart player. Right, I think you keep a team like that together. Smart is not dominating the ball. Jaylen lets Tatum do his thing, right? So you just add to it.
Are you surprised? NBA dynasties, as you know, Pistons, Bulls. I mean, the Bulls had a dynasty. Michael left, came back. It was 3 years both times.
Right.
We're on like 8-9 years with the Warriors. They don't usually last this long. There's egos.
Yeah.
Coaches get fired. Owners get crazy.
Yes.
But this owner's like, I don't care about the luxury tax.
That's incredible.
Everybody likes Kerr. Steph Curry's totally unselfish. Like, come on in, you take shots.
Right.
What are you like the Lakers? Even the great Laker teams. You go back to the Kobe Shaq days. A lot of clash of egos. Kareem could be a little prickly in Magic. There were clashes. Are you shocked at how long Golden State's lasted?
A lot of different dynamics. When you got Shaq was always a star. Kobe was always a star. So these guys came into the league, different concept. Curry became a star. Curry earned the right to be in the top 25 or top 20 all time when he retires, right? It's different. So Curry's perspective is teamwork, get better, and make my teammates better. It's very unselfish, right? He didn't even get recruited from the top colleges.
That's interesting.
Right? So he's coming into it, and he worked on his game. Now you got this star that's unselfish, that can play off the ball and on the ball, and he does everything the right way. And a guy like that, he's definitely another level.
I've never heard it put that way. So because Curry came into the league as known as a grinder and an overachiever,
right?
Even as he's become a star, that's how he views himself.
Yeah, he still has these different values, that hard work, and I need my team, and I need to work on my game, or I will not make it, right? That desperation. He has that in him.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Shaq and Kobe, even Kobe out of high school came in as, he's the next Jordan.
Right. I'm the best. Everybody that has that level, I was New York State Player of the Year, right? I'm feeling a certain way about my career, right? But when you got the NBA, it's a little bit different, right? But I respect Shaq and Kobe for staying competitive, standing their ground, and saying, nah, I'm the best, right? I respect that.
You had a great career. When was the moment, and I always think this is interesting, is that everybody in the NBA was the best player on their high school team, was the best player in their region, and most of you were the best player in your state. You were New York State's player of the year.
Yeah.
When did you realize, was it a game of practice that you're like, I'm going to be more of a role player in this league? When did you realize it?
Well, I never really looked at it that way. I always thought my defense was better than people's offense, right? So for me, I was never a role player. I was a star because...
On the defensive side.
Yeah. You know, I always felt... I never really wanted to score, but I felt like if I had to score because they wasn't... You know, people wasn't really looking at somebody averaging 5 points. I was way more comfortable locking up, but when you want to win, you do anything to win, so I had to work on my game, right? So I could win.
Bruce Bowen was a little bit like that. Bruce always said...
No, we're different. I love Bruce, but we're different.
Well, no, you're a more physical player. But Bruce said he realized very early, he goes, I was a star on defense.
Right, exactly. Well, from that perspective, that's how, as a defender, we're going to feel that way for sure. And I respect Bruce's game. But yeah, I just felt like, you know, I'd rather play defense. I can affect the game on defense. And you see a lot of plays like that now. But, you know, sometimes you got to get your boogie on. You know what I'm saying? Get your boogie on, you know. Yeah.
So when you go back, because I think playoff basketball, you know, fans, we fall in love with the stars in the regular season, and then the NBA officials, essentially, as you said earlier, are going to swallow the whistle, and the older, tougher, stronger players are going to control this. For instance, the Lakers lead the NBA in free throw attempts. Why? Because Austin Reeves, AD, and LeBron attack the basket.
Yeah.
Memphis, when their bigs got hurt, now they shoot more jumpers. They don't get to the free throw line. Right? And so when you look at, let's go back to this, pivot back to the Lakers.
Right.
If my argument is they're tough, they defend, and they get to the free throw line. Let's say they lose to Memphis. And Memphis is good.
Memphis is tight.
Memphis is deeper. And Memphis has a lot of speed in that backcourt. If they lose, can we acknowledge now, LeBron's given you 50 games a year. There's an argument to be made that, and I think Boston's an interesting team. LeBron needs a teammate, a running mate that plays 75 games and is younger. Horford's getting old. I could see an AD for Jaylen Brown swap, so Tatum's got a star big because they can't trust Robert Williams. But I guess my point is, if the Lakers get doused in 5 games, can you run this back?
Well, I think LeBron's dominant. He's proven that when you put good surrounding players around him, that he's going to get to the playoffs and do work. So from that perspective, and he's earned the right, and he's that good enough where if he want to stay or whatever the case may be, that you keep him, right? I feel like, you know, that the injuries hurt them. Adding D'Lo is going to help. I think they're catching a stride right now. And I said, and even years ago, I think I was on the show when LeBron was 35 or however old he was. He's getting older. We know that. But he's still effective. He's still better than most players.
Yeah, he's top 10 guy still.
Still.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.